So when we move into some of the more technical side, the automotive aspect had three key areas. How do we make sure that the automotive sector remains primarily North American? Secondly, what do we do with auto components that don't comply with the new rules of origin? The default right now, as many of you know, is if you don't comply, it's 2.5 most favored nation %. And then if the U.S. does put Section 232 auto tariffs on, how could Mexico and Canada have a guarantee? Because as you saw earlier, autos are citizens of North America, so we'd end up shooting our industry in the foot. Just moving ahead, Adam, we can move pretty much on the quick step here now. So the automotive rules of origin, as many of you saw, have gone from 62.5% at the top line to 75%. There's a new methodology, however. 40% of that labor, the labor component, 40% of the labor value content must be made at $16 an hour. So that doesn't mean that Mexico has to pay $16 an hour. It means that as we're tracing the components through, 40% of the labor value content needs to come from places where we pay $16 an hour. The effect of this is not that we'll see companies lifting up stakes from Mexico and moving back to the United States and Canada. What we're seeing already is the auto companies are looking to start sourcing potentially more on the supply chain from Canada and Mexico to bump up those levels and their specific credits for R&D and labor force, et cetera. Additionally, at the OEM level, so at the Detroit 3 or Honda or Nissan or whoever, 70% of the steel and aluminum has to be certified from North America. And then if there's a transition phase, if you can move to the next slide, where the biggest change for those of you that may be operating in the auto sector is where we largely were looking at a world that had 60 to 62.5%, and we just had to look at what did not count, right? So we were always looking around, you know, are we at that 40% threshold and everything else, we're pretty much good. And the USMCA actually requires you to now trace virtually every component. So you're going to need to be working with Scarbrough and others, or your legal counsel, et cetera, because some parts are identified as core parts, some are principal parts and complementary parts, and that list is detailed in the NAFTA. But you see there's different thresholds. Core parts are at 75, 70% for principal, 65 for complementary. So instead of kind of winging it, as we've been all known to do from time to time, I know that's coming from North America, you actually need to get down to the part level and see where that is. And that's why it's going to be critical to start preparing for this, but also as the uniform regulations are developed for the USMCA once ratified, to pay attention. The biggest question we're getting right now is, wait a minute, I make lamps. Do I have to know where every piece of wire in that headlight or in that tire comes from? Because we didn't before. We kind of knew it was more, but it wasn't enough to make a difference. Now you're going to have to really trace these parts. There's also no deemed, so, you know, the electrical components and other things, there's no deemed originating in North America anymore either. So it's very important for your supply chain. Next slide, please, and we'll start moving to some out of autos into other areas. As I said earlier, Mexico did get a guarantee, as did Canada, that if you don't comply with the new rule of origin, that a certain level, basically current production and some to grow on, will maintain the MFN in case the U.S. ever raises most favored nation, which is rumored to be in the talks. Next slide, please. And then for Section 232, as you know, the U.S. is talking about doing 2.2 auto tariffs. That report is sitting on the president's desk. He has 90 days in which to decide. So if we start putting 25% on foreign auto imports to the United States, Mexico and Canada are largely going to be exempted to that up to certain thresholds. So they've got a guarantee. And that's also in a side letter, so it doesn't require congressional ratification. So largely the Mexican and Canadian auto industry are safe no matter what the president decides. Next slide, please.